Hey guys, Bolt Shooter here. So, same thing as last time, real quick. Um, I don't know if we're gonna be continuing the double video upload on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays. I have to look into it. I just don't feel like I can have the effort to be doing that. It's already hard to make 7 videos for every day a week. But to add those extras to make sure I'm looking for something else to do, and the fact that we're also doing a more loose based instead of a scheduled video, um, we're just gonna remove that. Hope I'm still thinking, because this is a week back, so I might change my mind. You'll see starting tomorrow. Well, next weekend if we do. But anyways, trying to make season 2 fast as possible. Last time we seen either Pete died after you chose Nick, or if you went with Pete, Nick ran away. Pete and Clementine had to hide in a delivery truck, while Nick and Clem had to hide in a cellar. Basically, depending on whomever you went with, you got a better connection with them. You understood them better. Um, and if you're in either way, you find your way back. If you're with Nick, you're gonna find your way back with him. Actually, no. Clementine goes back with him. Period. Tells the group they go looking for Nick. They find him. They go to look for uh, Pete. And the thing that you did realize in last episode was those survivors that try to take the supplies or whatever they had from Krista and Clem, they were executed. Not eaten by walkers. They were executed. Um, and thing is, after you tell the group, they go looking for Pete and Nick. Um, Another guy comes in, and we're trying to introduce his name now. Carver, who has something to do with the group at this point, comes in, is very suspicious about it. Clem can lie her ass off or tell him about them. And basically, she can either say, my background is I'm with my dad and all that, and we're by ourselves. And the other thing is, you could have just straight up said, yeah, I'm with this group, so what? And no matter what he says, these are very dangerous people, watch out for them. He tries to turn your arm because he knows you're the new guy, new girl to the group, and is like, you don't know these people, so I'm gonna kind of push you in another direction to weed them out. Um, and basically, after that situation, Sarah was hiding with, because Clem and Sarah was supposed to be together. Carlos, Nick, and Alan, Rebecca, and all the others went off. So all the adults left the two preteens slash teenagers together. Um, when Carver comes around, and she's supposed to be hidden. They all come back, and Carver's shown, so that means he knows where they are, so they need to get moving and relocate before he actually gets there. With reinforcements, they go and try to find Pete, and no matter what, you find out that he was executed. Well, I mean, if you chose Nick, he died at the river bay, but when you chose Pete, he got executed style, same as the others. So that means, and everyone easily connects it with Carver. So Carver and his group, the man who came into your house and was trying to figure out what the group was, he's executing people that aren't his people, and he put to make sure to execute Pete. So he's out for blood, or anything else. So basically, you go on the run. You're trying to get far away from this group as possible. You eventually come across a bridge. In this bridge, you cross and find someone who basically guards it. Um, you either talk it through and it's aggressive, or he does understand the situation. He says, "I'm willing to give you some supplies and come up with my group." And before anything can be uh, put on paper, Nick comes in, seeing that this guy could be a threat to Clem and Luke, who are the one who crossed the bridge, and Nick shoots him dead. Basically, they go over and realize that he was telling the truth. He had supplies. They go up to the lodge, and they realize when they get up to the lodge that there are people following them because they do see lights. Before they can figure out what to do, the group from that person on the bridge is revealed that they were hiding in there, and it turns out that Kenny is still alive. He's also got a girlfriend now named Sarita, and then they also have a guy named Walter. I think it was Matthew was the guy on the bridge, but he was the teacher slash partner to the mentor. He was the mentor to Matthew. And basically, he finds a knife in Clem's bag that belongs to Matthew, which is the one that Walter gave him, and it kind of starts the choice between, do you trust Nick enough to tell this guy that he's trustworthy enough, or that he's a terrible guy and he deserves whatever he gets in the future. So that will weigh Walter's aggression towards Nick. You also try to pick up with Kenny, but you're also trying to be loyal to the new group. Kenny brings up Duck and Katja. He tries not to remember it, but Clementine's there, so he's fallen back on that depression and stuff. I'm trying to remember all the other episodes. And then I'm doing a lot better on time. Basically, eventually, a woman with red hair, name's Bonnie. We met her in the 400 Days DLC from Season 1 with other people. They got recruited by this facility, which, if you guys can put two together, it's Carver's building. Basically, they had he had a lieutenant woman go around and recruit people, and found this group that was from 400 Days and brought them in to be a part of it. And whoever left stayed, and we don't know their background. But anyways, she comes for supplies. It's a red herring saying that's probably from Carver's group, so something's up. We need to be ready. But then a storm brews. Walkers start coming. The wind turbine for the lodge goes haywire, so they have to stop that. They got to protect themselves from walkers. Before, but when it finally settles down, bullets are sprayed into the rest of the walkers, and Carver and his group, including Bonnie, march up, and they capture whoever's out in the open. And basically, there's two things. Either you choose to show yourself that way, there is an easier go through, or you go and try to look for Kenny. And the big thing is, if you're with Kenny, you get to tell him what to really do. So while Kenny's being very aggressive, trying to shoot down these people and trying to make a ruckus to where he can save the others, but no matter what, one of the shots ends up killing one of Carver's men, which ends up having him kill Walter. And the big thing that I did forget to say was, in that middle of that little bunch of walkers during the wind turbine, Nick gets held down by a walker. Gets grabbed up, and he can't really fight against it because he's surprised. So Walter, in this moment, can either shoot the walker off Nick or let Nick get bitten by the walker, and that's depending on Clementine's ideal of trust towards Nick, and if you tell him he's a good guy, he's gonna save him. But anyways, Walter ends up getting killed, a man for a man. Um, if you push Kenny, or if you're already in the house, um, I think they end up killing Alan there and then. And then they all end up getting taken hostage anyways. Um, and in the very end, Carlos's fingers also get broken too. They all get captured. They get taken to Carver's camp. Alan is taken away separate from the camp if he survives that experience. In the middle of it, you can try to team up with Kenny with the ideal of trying to escape. If you do, it kind of makes a ruckus and seeing that you're not trustworthy. No matter what, they're gonna put Kenny in a bad light because Kenny, no matter what, he gets free. And then you make a bond with most of the people. Ronnie, he's like this greenhouse keeper who was trying to escape with Luke and the others, but got caught by a walker and bitten on the arm. They had to cut it off in the middle of the escape. During a Sarah and Clementine task, they try to trim the dead leaves off things. You have the choice to either help and help Sarah understand it, or you do it by yourself to get your work done. And no matter what, Carver sees it as subpar. Either you're not doing your work enough, or Sarah ends up cutting whatever she can see and thinks that it is, ends up killing live ones, and sees it. And Carver sees the ones that got cut that were alive as little supplies that could have been used later. So basically, they're cutting off their life supply. So he puts this on Ronnie because he's the one who's supposed to teach them, and he gets pushed off the building no matter what. You meet Jane, who's this like psycho weirdo who used the guts trick. Mike, I think he was just either part of he was a part of the escapee or something. Actually, no, he's a new guy, so it's just like he's just there for a reason in the barracks. Either he's just a new guy they found and they're trying to get him to understand the situation. And then you also meet up with Bonnie. She tries to give you the best. She tries to, as you're a kid, tries to be like, I'm trying to be nice here. She gives her a coat, a jacket, and all that. Tries to make it easy. I believe her and Nick were in college together, and they had a relationship before, but then the apocalypse happened. Luke was separated from the group during I think it was episode 2 or 3 when the windmill incident happens. He ran away, ends up getting injured, and he finds his way into the community. And basically, you're trying to talk to him about escaping. And basically, it's getting walkie-talkie, getting to Luke, and then escaping. But of course, you get found out. Luke gets captured. Walkie-talkies are found to be missing. And basically, Kenny takes the blame for it. Gets beaten in the skull by his eye to where it's useless. And eventually, it just this is too abusive. I can't be in this situation. We need to get out of here. Everyone, including Bonnie and Jane, comes out of nowhere and accepts it, and also Mike as well. And they use Clementine to go around, get the attentions of the herd that's coming by to come to the community. That way, it surrounds it, and then they're going to use the guts trick to escape. Of course, during this thing, you find Alan if he was still alive from the previous episode, and he was beaten by Carver nearly to death. And at this point, he takes one last redemption. Well, not redemption, but he takes one more good shot at Carver by stopping whomever comes in to stop the music playing that they were going to do for the speakers to bring the herd in. basically he comes to shoot the first person that goes through the door, and it ends up killing both. And then they all get cornered again by Carver, and before Carver goes to shoot up the group, Clem stops him by jumping on him. He gets overwhelmed, and then Kenny beats him with a crowbar to a bloody pulp, like Negan style. You can stay or watch depending on how much of a badass you are. You leave to use the guts trick, but then it becomes a freaking mess. No matter what, Carlos is shot in the neck to where it's exposed, where he's exposed by the walkers and ends up getting devoured. Sarita is bitten by a walker on the hand, so if you cut it off, blood of course exposes her, so she gets surrounded. If you kill the walker, she survives, but yet she slowly gets ill. No matter what, Kenny blames you for not being able to save her, and if you cut her hand off, it says, "Why did you do that? That wasn't your call." And then they're dispersed. You meet up with Rebecca because Sarah ends up running off after her dad died. Rebecca ends up finding Clementine. They go to try to look for other people, and they run into... Actually, no, they don't. I think her and Rebecca get splitted. You do find Jane, though. You find little pieces of the group. No matter what, if you save Nick up to this point, you find him as a walker on a open gate. You find Nick and Sarah together. Luke's trying to get her motivated to leave, but yeah, she's having a breakdown, and she's basically the Clem if she never was taught survival tips. Clem and Jane come in to try to snap them out, and either you slap her to have her come to her senses so you save her, or you just leave her to get killed. And then you take Luke back, and if you save Sarah, you save Sarah. Mike and Bonnie found this colonial, I think it is a colonial, I think it's the Civil War historical site. And basically you're trying to find whatever you can there. I think there's like shirts and blankets that can kind of give some warmth, but I think the only thing was a water bottle or something. There wasn't that much supplies there. And then they do find a shack, like a movable door shed to get up on, to get away from the walkers. Trying to remember all things. Kenny's dealing with the death of Sarita, or the turning of Sarita, and I think at that point, he breaks down and everyone's seeing him as a monster. I'm trying to remember. I think during a run with Jane and Clem, you meet with a Russian guy, Carvo. He was in the where you go to find the patio that has the sliding down door. He has meds, and either you can, it's got painkillers. That's what it is, painkillers, and you hold them on gun, basically at dead point range, and I'm sorry, I'm slowly falling asleep here. Basically, you put him to where he can't say anything or do anything unless you say so, and either you let him go or you take the pills. The pills later, when Rebecca goes into labor, helps her with the pain. I'm trying to remember most of the story, but basically, they're trying to figure out what to do after this aftermath. Everyone comes together. They go after the herd is coming, and Rebecca is trying to go into labor. They have to go into that patio lockdown area. Luke and Jane hook up there. You give If you stole from Arvo, you give her the pills. You try to make her as comfortable as possible. She gives birth to AJ Alvin Jr. And then Kenny also goes against Jane and Luke, saying, "Why the hell are you guys messing around when we need to get into a safe place first? Because kids and also Rebecca and all that." And they say, "We're human beings. We're trying to live a little while we can." And Kenny still sees this as a stupid idea. Stupid kids. Another thing that adds to the bad Kenny thing. After they birth AJ, they start walking in the cold, but Rebecca is too. I forgot again. When you try the gateway to the patio, it's about to be broken down, so you try to move a model cannon to the door to block it, but it brings down the patio, taking Jane and Clem, and if you saved Sarah, she goes down there. And no matter what, Sarah dies there. Jane gets up there with Clem. Eventually, no matter what, in either situation, Jane basically is the teacher for Clementine about tips like taking out the leg and killing with small things, figuring out what's on them. If it's a new walker, it's survivor. If it was an old walker, the best thing you're finding is find some chunk change in a wallet. Or they have things like nail files and stuff on them, like self-care items that can help. I'm trying to remember. AJ's born. Rebecca's too weak after the birth that she needs to sit down. Arvo and his sister and the Russian group come up. If you stole from him, I think his sister doesn't survive if you stole from him. So he blames you for the stealing. I don't know if his sister died if you stole the drugs, but it's been a minute since I played that thing. But basically, he blames you for stealing the drugs, or he sees you as a potential group to rob, and he brings up the boys to try to rob you. Rebecca, no matter what, dies either by Clementine shooting Rebecca before she can get to AJ, or Kenny does when he realizes it too, and then it becomes a huge shootout. The Russians all die except for Arvo. They keep him as captive. I believe Luke's leg is shot, so he starts limping. They take Arvo's advice and try to find a model, home that was getting rebuilt. They have food and supplies there, so they take him to go get that first. And that's the only reason he survived, but it's against a frozen lake, which is kind of stupid because couldn't you go around? I mean, I know it's going to take a while, and I know walkers are right on your ass, but you have a group, and that lake isn't that big, and there's a way to get there without having to do such a dumb thing. Anyways, some parts of the lake aren't completely frozen. Luke, with his leg being injured, ends up being too mushy, weighs down too much, goes through the ice, and either this stupid thing, either Bonnie can go in there and try to save Luke, or you just do. And if Bonnie goes to save Luke, both Luke and Bonnie can die if you don't save Bonnie in time. And then Luke dies no matter what in that scene. They get to the home, realize that it's not even completely done, that there isn't that much food and supplies there. So Kenny starts beating the crap out of Arvo, and everyone starts seeing Kenny even more as a monster. Bonnie and Mike and Arvo talk about escaping the petty Arvo, and they said basically we're going to escape. We're going to take They find a truck in the back. They say that we'll take this truck and we'll go. And they start to leave. Clementine finds them stealing supplies also, and basically they're trying to explain the situation that they need to get away from Kenny, and that she needs to understand. And before anything, even if you call for help, if you just stand there or you try to understand, Arvo shoots you no matter what. And I believe right there between the shoulder blade, and it basically starts to make her. It scares Kenny and Jane to where they think that you're bleeding out. There is I think a PS3 exclusive where you can shoot Mike when he tries to come. When you try to aim them down, you have the ability to shoot Mike, and he dies there. But I guess it was removed on other areas because originally he was supposed to be coming back later in the story, but never did. Let's open the new. I'll get to that later. I will get to that later when I finish the final season. Anyways, Jane and Kenny say screw the rest of the group. They grab Clem, grab AJ, and throw him in the truck and go, and as fast as possible away from the area. Because the shot's gonna ring out and bring in more walkers, so of course it's a good idea to go. But the blizzard is so bad that they end up needing to get out. Kenny goes to search around the area. You go after him. When you see walkers, you get separated, and Jane has the baby AJ. Eventually, you find each other in the blizzard in a school building, and Jane comes alone without the baby. Kenny sees this and sees that she had let the baby die, and sees her at fault, so goes to rush at her. They go into a huge fist fight. You try to side with one or the other or try to be neutral, but eventually you end up having to either shoot Kenny or look away and let Jane die. And if you let Jane die, you can also shoot Kenny there and finish him, or you let him live. You guys find out that AJ lived and was put into a car by Jane to keep him away from the situation, because Jane wanted to prove a point that no matter what, Kenny is gonna snap eventually. He's one little twig away from snapping. So basically, she hides the baby away. Kenny sees this, and this is your opportunity: either leave Kenny behind and go by yourself, being a mother of a little child, even though at preteen age, or you can go with Kenny. You go to Wellington, which is up in the States, over by the northern border, and basically the community is so stocked that they can't accept new people. They give you supplies. Seeing the baby and the child, she does give another bag to pity them. And there's either two choices: either you stay with Kenny and you guys wait for there to be an opening close to Wellington, or Kenny pushes you and AJ into the community and tries to say you gotta be safe. He takes the supplies and walks away. So you're in Wellington, you walk away from Kenny, or Kenny, you leave with Kenny, and if you're with Jane, I believe there's also the opportunity to leave her, I believe at this point, but if you shoot Kenny, you can either comfort him or try to comfort the situation, because he is an old friend, so the best thing is to say that you'll be with Kenny and Duck soon. And he says you're good for a smile. But anyways, after he's dead, Jane has to explain herself after the baby cries. They have to go see him again, and either you can leave Jane for how sociopathic that was. You can leave her at that point as well, or you can go with her back to Carver's camp to get whatever supplies were left. But surprise, surprise, they had enough firepower to get away. and take whatever supplies was left, else than a little bit. They had to get away from the area because of the massive fire. And then at the very end of that, you have the choice to either take in a family or push them away. And so basically, at the end of season 2, you have to push or bring in a family with Jane. You leave Kenny and or Jane and go by yourself with AJ. If you're with Kenny, you have the choice to go to Wellington and stay there and let Kenny walk away, or go with Kenny and live with him in the woods until Wellington has an opening. To recap, season 1, Lee's getting arrested for her murder. He goes with the cop. They're going to a prison. Basically, the zombie apocalypse starts. He flips out. They hit a zombie. He goes sparing out into a car accident. He runs into Clementine after trying to look for help from the situation. They run into the Green family. Well, Sean Green. They take him back to the farm. Lee's healed from Kershaw. Basically, at this point, Clem is Lee's surrogate daughter. Well, no, Lee is the surrogate father to Clementine. You meet Kenny, Duck, and Katja there. No matter what, you take the truck with Kenny and go down to Macon. We have the choice to either try to help and make Kenny's relationship with Lee better by trying to help Duck, or you can make it to where you're trying to help Sean, the son of the owner of the property, to make it better for Herschel. You go to Macon, find Lee's family's pharmacy, realize that they're dead. You meet Larry, Lily, Carly, and Doug, and Glenn. You go and try to look for an area, find a motel so you guys can hold up. Come back, find that Lee's brother's dead, get the keys from him, open the pharmacy, but alarm goes off, everyone gets surrounded. So another huge thing, you can either have Carly or Doug die, save them either way. Larry is a huge instigator, argumenter, / he also knows the secret to Lee, so he can hold that over him. They go to the motel to hold up. Glenn has to leave because of Atlanta being attacked. It was a center. Power goes out because all government goes dark. Basically, they struggle for food after finding this guy Mark. They try hunting, come across these school people. No matter what, they end up explaining to you that the bite isn't what kills. It may give you a fever and make it quicker, but no matter how you die, as long as it ain't brain trauma, you come back. And with this information, you gotta be more careful. You gotta put down whoever dies. You come across St. John's. They provide food if you give them gas. They offer a meal if you come and help them on their farm. You try to solidify another safe haven, but it ends up being cannibals. You can either kill or spare. I believe everyone can be spared except for the mother. So you can either walk away from Andy. You can also put the fork next to Danny. And then you walk away, you find the vehicle, you either take it and tell Clementine this is what we need to survive, or you can leave it and say we're still good people. There's also bandits in that episode where it explains that they have connections everywhere. They try to take what they need to survive. And they basically go to every group, hit them up, and say, you give us supplies or we attack you. And that was happens in episode 3. Ben, already dealing with them during the school situation, is like, I want these people to be safe. I'll give you some medication if you leave us alone. After Lily is on this case, tells Lee about it. She threatens Lee with a reveal. Either you can explain this to everyone and be loyal to your friends. And then you can also have a little side note. My favorite thing is Carly can have a relationship with Lee. Um, but no matter what, you discover the drugs, you take them back in, but the bandits were about to get them and notice that you're going back on your deal and attack the motel. Um, this ends up being everyone having to scatter from a safe haven. Duck is bitten. They find they have a situation where they have to stop. Lily takes this opportunity to be like, okay, who the hell was it? This ends up either in Carly and Doug's death. After this, you can either leave or take Lily with you. No matter what, she ends up taking the RV anyways. If you take her with you, you meet Chuck on the train. Duck has to be put down somewhat after after his bite. Katja kills herself. You have to try to be a best friend to Kenny and try to say either I'll take out your boy, we need to walk away, or you need to be a man and take care of your family. And then you take the train, meet Omid and Krista after a tanker's hanging off the thing. Yeah, cut that down and smash through it. But Omid gets injured, so you have to try to nurse him. You make your way to Savannah for Clementine's parents, but find out that it's overrun. You find a little home, but Chuck is overdone and gets brought into the sewers and killed. Omid needs to be resting because he's starting to get a very bad injury case. Lee and Kenny decide to go try to find a boat since it is ocean property. So they try to find a boat. They run into the people that were from a community around there. And basically they work together to try to get out of there. And also nurse Omid. They go into the community, find out that it's been overrun. You come back, had to deal with the Marshall House stranger, which was just communicating back and forth between Clementine and him. Because he knows where her parents are. Basically, he takes her during... Lee takes a nap. Lee gets bitten when it comes to trying to find Clementine. The rest of the group that remains tries either can help Lee or go with him to try to find Clementine. No matter what, Vernon, the doctor who had the ill people, takes the boat. In 400 days, we realized that it didn't fare well for them. In 400 days, it's just a bunch of survivors that came together eventually and got picked up by Carver. Back to the Marshall House stranger. Basically, he's taking Clementine to make his own family. Lee takes whatever little people he has, no matter what. Ben dies. Kenny tries to save either Krista or Ben, and ends up getting overrun, but has run for his life. Omid and Krista are left to be the new family to Clementine if Lee can't make it. Lee cuts through a whole bunch of walkers, even though he's either bitten or has no arm. He makes it to the Marshall Stranger. He explains the situation about the car in episode 2, about how it ends up killing his family, so he's taking revenge by taking this little girl to be the new person for his family, new mother to his family. Either Lee can kill him or Clementine can to save Lee. They use the Gus trick to escape that. Lee reveals to Clementine that they're bitten after he blacks out. Basically, he takes whatever he can in the last moments of his life to teach Clementine how to survive. And Lee either tells her to leave him and try to escape, or he to not make him a monster, she shoots him. And then Clementine goes through the horde with a guts trick, goes to the edge of Savannah, gets found by Krista and Omid. They're good for a while, so Krista becomes a little bit better, more pregnant-wise in ways of months. Clementine makes an leaving her gun out for some other little girl to find it. Holds her at gunpoint for more supplies, but Omid tries to save her, but because of a noise cue, the girl shoots him. He dies. Krista comes in, shoots him, shoots the girl, realizes that the gun was Clementine's, and blames her for leaving her gun out. The baby does not survive over winter. Still holding the grudge against Clementine for Omid. Still trying to be that parent Lee asked her to be, to teach her how to survive by teaching her how to do fire and all that. A loner group of scavengers trying to take what they had. No matter what, probably killed Krista in that situation. Clementine somehow is able to get away, but gets taken by a stream, gets ashore, finds a dog and a campsite, tries to eat a can of beans, but the dog gets aggressive. You either can spare the dog by killing him when he gets impaled, or you can leave him to his own pain. During the bleeding out, you try to walk through woods of walkers, but Pete and Luke save you. They take you back to the rest of the survivors, where you meet the rest of them. Rebecca, Alan, Nick, Sarah, Carlos. They lock you up in case it's a walker bite, but you get out so you can you don't get infected by from it. You clean it, bandage it up, kill a walker in the instance. They find out what the hell the noise is, finding that you're a badass little kid. They look it over. You try to be like, okay, we need to set up ground rules if you're going to be a part of this group. You try to do your best by helping Pete and Nick hunt, but it ends up being surrounded by walkers. You find the people that try to have you at gunpoint with Krista, but they're all executed style except for one who doesn't even matter. Pete, no matter what, is bitten on the leg, so either he gets overtaken by walkers, or in the beginning of episode 2, gets taken over by walkers, but execute style by Carver. Nick, trying to get away from the fact that his mother, who was bitten, was able to be... I forgot about that detail. Nick's mother was with him, but a random survivor was bitten. They try to accept him into the group, but ends up being turned and bites and kills Nick's mother, which makes this huge thing. He cares for his Uncle Pete, but after that situation, he can't trust anyone else. They make it back to the survivors, explain the situation. You can either go find Pete, but no matter what, Carver comes into the house to figure out where they are. He knows where they are, so the group, when they come back from checking out what Clem told them, they have to leave to make sure they don't catch them. They come across Matthew. He ends up getting killed by Nick. And they find the knife, giving proof to Walter that you're the ones who killed Matthew. Depending on the situation, you can save Nick if you tell Walter that he's a good soul. You meet Kenny again, find out that he survived the situation, but he's trying to forget that entire time with the group of season 1. He has a new girlfriend named Sarita. They try to make themselves in a little cozy lodge with a wind turbine for power. They have enough supplies for everyone, and before they can try to have a nice time, a wind picks up, making their wind turbine go crazy, making walkers come in. It disperses the group, but then Carver comes in, killing all the walkers. They capture most of them, and then Kenny tries to kill Carver, but ends up killing another man. This makes him kill Walter. If they try to kill another one, it kills Alan. No matter what, he breaks Carlos's fingers. They take him back to their camp, which is a Home Mart kind of situation, Home Depot kind of situation. Basically, you meet Reggie, who was another escapee, but didn't get good karma and got bit and had to get his arm chopped off. You meet Bonnie from 400 Days. She tries to be nice to the kids, and also has a college history with Luke. You meet Jane, who was just some random kook that was using the guts trick to go around the walkers. You have Mike, who probably just recently joined the group but doesn't like what they're doing, so wanting to try to get out. You meet Luke, who was the only one who wasn't captured, finds his way into the community, tries to schedule an escape, but walkies are found out. Luke is captured, and Carver beats Kenny's eye in to where it's useless. They eventually say, we're going to do it now or never, when they hear about a herd coming. So they use the herd, so they play some music over some mics, and bring the walkers in to surround the area so they can get out using the guts trick. This, of course, ends up killing Carlos. And then they also kill Kenny getting revenge. He kills Carver, bashing his head in like Negan. Everyone's dispersed again except for Jane and Clementine. They go around. Jane tries to be a bigger sister by telling Clem what not to do. Tells about her sister who used to have a leather jacket, and then she just eventually ran out of steam and no longer wanted to live, so she was left. They find Luke and Sarah, but if you save Nick, he would be dead on a fence. Luke's trying to help Sarah after her father's death, but she's so broken down. Clem can try to snap her out of it or leave her for dead. They run into the rest of the group, who's at a Civil War recreational history stop, and it's a landmark, and basically they try to find for supplies but don't do well. Jane and Clementine run across a Russian guy named Arvo. You can have the chance to take his pain pills for Rebecca, which they end up running into a situation where Walker's around, but Rebecca's going into labor, so they have to rush into this balcony building that they found Arvo at. Find out that Luke and Jane are trying to live a little bit by doing the hanky-panky. Kenny tries to scold them for this, but they're human beings, so they need to have some kind of life while they can. Rebecca's going into labor. You can have the chance to give her pills, make her as comfortable as possible. Give the name Alvin Jr. to make up for Alvin's death, who, if he didn't die at the lodge, would have beaten near death by Carver, but then he tries to help whatever he can with his state. And then after that, she's so out of it that she has to lay down, but she ends up losing too much blood from the labor and ends up turning. Before she can bite into her newborn, Clem or Kenny can kill her. This makes a huge thing because Arvo and his Russian sister and friends come to hold you at gunpoint for either stealing the painkillers or just because you're a group that can have supplies. It goes into a firefight. It ends up injuring Nick, killing all the Russians except for Arvo. He says that they have food and supplies at a house, takes them there, but ends up being on a frozen lake. Luke ends up falling into the thing. You can either try to help him, but if Bonnie helps him, there's a huge chance she'll die. You go in, figure out that the building isn't even complete. Also, there is no supplies. So Kenny gets aggressive and tries to beat Arlo near death. Everyone else than Clem is kind of saying that he's a monster. Arvo, Bonnie, and Mike try to leave. You have a PS3 exclusive. You have a chance to kill Mike when you have him at gunpoint for trying to leave with their supplies in the truck. But no matter what, Arvo ends up shooting Clem. Jane and Kenny have to try to save her, and they take AJ and her to the closest, safest place because of the gunshots. They end up getting to a fight over AJ, who was put into a car to show that Jane tried to make a point that Kenny was easy snappable and to keep the kids away from him. And to prove a point, leaves AJ in a car. Her and Jane and Kenny get into a fight, and either you have the chance to have let Kenny kill her, or for Jane, or to try to save Jane by shooting Kenny. And then basically you realize that she was trying to pull some crap to show you this, and there's multiple endings where you can try to stay with your old time friend or stay with this new older sister figure. You can try to be a good person, or try to, or not. Don't trust strangers. Or if you're trying to go into Wellington, you take what your mentor, your old friend Kenny is trying to give you, and take the opportunity to go into Wellington, or just go by your own because everyone's insane, and why not keep it to yourself? And that's it for episodes 1 and 2. I'm so out of breath out of that. But anyways, season 3, also known as New Frontier, is coming soon. I don't know when. I'm probably gonna go watch JoJo for part 1 and part 2. Anyways, back.